Good morning. This is the beginning of a new class. This is the scrapbooking for busy mamas or grandmas or just the busy people. So I am going to be starting, I'm going to try to get ahead of myself and start for January of next year. And the reason why I start in August is because we have our new catalog launched. And I have all our new papers. So these are the papers that I have chosen. These are the two pattern papers. You'll notice that there's a light green. This is the sage, and then a light blue. This is the lighter side of Capri. The back sides of those are pine green, and then like a wood grain mink wood grain. It looks like mink espresso wood grain. Okay, the coordinating colors I chose were sage and then capri. So we will go ahead and begin by cutting these up. So you'll need two pattern papers. These are going to make two scrapbook pages, two double layouts. So if you have a lot of pictures, I do one double per month, but if you feel like you want two per month, this will be perfect for you because they'll be really consistent, really coordinating. This is my family scrapbook, and what I do is I choose one paper packet for the whole year, and then that way it's really consistent all the way through. Okay, so this is going to be my paper packet I chose. This is the Four Seasons Winter. I know it says winter, but you know, you could use this for beachy. The colors in here aren't all winter. They look very winter-esque, but they're not. Now, this cut, so I just trimmed the 1/2-inch strip, which is our zip strip. If you don't have this on your double-sided paper, don't worry. It's not a big deal. The cool thing about Close to My Heart is it tells you exactly the number, the paper packet, and then it tells you all the coordinating colors. So you know exactly what goes with this. Okay, but I'm going to put that aside. So this is going to be dependent on whether I want, hopefully you guys can see this pattern to go this way vertically, or if I want to cut it so it has this, so it's this way in strips, or it's this way in strips. And I kind of like going against it and having the grain this way. So I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to cut 2 inches off. I do have an arm on this trimmer. I rarely open it up. So, and you'll see the cheater way of doing this. So I cut 2 inches. You can save that for another time. I'm going to cut this in half because this is a 12 by 12. I'm going to cut it in half at 6. I'm going to put these two together, and I'm going to cut them again at 3. So each of these papers now only have 3 trims. Okay, so there's one set. I'm going to do that again so you guys can watch again for my other pattern paper. Okay, now this one I want to make sure that I do the same, right? This is an up and down paper, right? So it depends if I want the stripes to go with the strips or against the strips. I think I want these ones with the strips, so I think I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, trim off the bottom, which is 2 inches. And now I'm going to trim 6 inches. I'm going to just cut this paper right in half. And I'm going to cut it in half again. Put them together. If you don't feel comfortable putting them together, just cut the 3-inch strips all the way across. Okay, now I have those strips. Okay, now the other coordinating cardstock I'm going to use Sage is this one, and it has the same thing, but you don't have to worry about front, back. Well, you kind of do. You don't have to worry about up and down. So our coordinating cardstock, I'm going to show you with the Capri because I have two of them. It has a front and a back, always. So you have a dark and a light side. So it just depends on whether you want dark or light. And you can use them both in contrasting patterns, which is really fun. So I am going to take the 2 inches off. And by doing this cut first, you're eliminating cutting 2 inches off of every strip that you do, right? So if you cut the 6 inches and the 3 inches first, then you would have to cut a 2-inch strip on each one of these 4 strips. So I just do that one first. Okay, there's that one. Now this one is a bit different, okay? And you're going to do this twice because this is going to be your photo mats. I'm going to trim 1.5 inches off of 2 sides. But this will get you a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch strip or paper for all of your photo mats. So you don't have to trim your photos. You can just order your 4x6s and be done. Just glue them on when you get them. That's the cool part about this. So there's 1.5 inches on 2 sides. Now I'm going to start with 6 1/4. My board does go up to 6 1/4 without taking my arm out. My arm does go up to 15 1/4 inches, but I hardly ever use it. Okay, so I'm going to go up to 6 1/4. Now this is going to be a bit trickier. I have 4 1/4 on my bar here. I'm going to start at the bottom. So maybe I should slide this up so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to line this up at 6 1/4 over here. Now I'm going to find 4 1/4 on my bar, and I'm going to slide this up to 4 1/4. And I'm going to stop right there. Okay. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and I rotated it clockwise. I'm going to move my trimmer all the way back down. That did not seem correct, did it? It should be a 4 1/4. Hold on. This is where it gets tricky. It is 4 1/4. Okay. It should reach. Just a minute, guys. Let me just make sure I did 1 1/2. I think I did 1 1/4 on one of them. That one's 1 1/2. Aha! There's the culprit. I did 1 1/4, not 1 1/2. So let's find my shorty. So that one goes up to there. That one goes a little farther, so I need to trim 1/4 inch off of here. Make sure they're 1 1/2 inch cuts. Okay, so that one I can just swipe away. Let's do this again. 6 1/4. Up to 4 1/4. That looks a lot better. Now this is going to be really easy if you get the 1 1/2 first. These are really easy cuts. Slide that back down and go up to 6 1/4. Okay, there's my 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. You're going to rotate again clockwise, go over to 6 1/4. Now it doesn't matter, just trim 6 1/4. Again, 6 1/4. And rotate one more time, and this time you're going to do 6 1/4 the opposite, or 4 1/4 the opposite way, so that you get your 4 1/4 cut here. Okay. You should have a 2 inch by 2 inch square if it was done correctly, which I did not do correctly at some point. Oh my goodness. Telling you. Sometimes the mats drive me crazy. Okay, there's one set of mats. Let's try to do this again. This is a problem about cutting while I'm on camera, right? We all make mistakes. Okay, 1.5, not 1.25, 1.5. Learn from our mistakes. Now the other alternative is just cutting it in half into a 6-inch and then doing 3 4-inch cuts on it. That'll give you 6 photo mats, but then you have to trim your photos. So I'm just trying to make it so you guys don't have to trim photos. Get 1.5. Those look the same. Okay, 6 1/4. Up to 4 1/4. Okay, rotate it clockwise. 6 1/4. There's one of your mats. Rotate it 6 1/4. I don't know how this happened last time. Don't know. But that was perfect. There, 6 1/4. One more rotation, and you're going to do 4 1/4 cut. So that one turned out really well. So we learned from our mistakes. Make sure you do the 1-inch, 1.5 by 1.5 first. Those two sides first. Okay, so there's all of our photo mats. One is shorty. That's okay, we'll figure it out later. Right, I messed up that cut. Okay. So I'm going to take 2 of each because 2 are going to go to this one, 2 are going to the next one. So 2 of those. Remember, you can get 2 out of each. 2 double layouts out of these cuts, which is nice because you're using 2 pattern papers. Okay, we are going to do those 4. Okay. And then I have a 2-inch by 2-inch. You could use this for journaling, or you can cut your own journal strips, which I probably will do. Now, I have mink somewhere in all my stuff. And I'm using mink as a background. I could use white daisy, that's another one. Make sure your neutral colors are coordinating, right? You don't want to use white daisy if it says linen or French vanilla. You want to use linen or French vanilla because it'll look weird. Okay, so this one has toffee, espresso, mink, daisy. Those are really your neutrals, but I chose mink, which is like a gray color. It's very subdued and pretty. Now, one of these, you're going to need those 2 1.5-inch strips. Okay, we're not done cutting. So this is going to be a different color, yeah? So I need this to be, this is a 12-inch. Okay, so if I put it on my trimmer, it's 12-inch up to here. I'm going to trim this off 2 inches because I need 10 inches. Make sure you have, if you messed up like I did, make sure you have your 1.5-inch strips. This other one is only 1/2 inch big, so you're only going to trim 1/2 inch off. And that should give you 2 10-inch by 1.5. And that is your A and your E, okay? This is going to be the only different strip on your whole sheet. Now, if you are like me and you don't like this, hi Shell, it's nice to see you. If you don't like this to move on you, You can put some tape on the back, just some Scotch tape, and it'll stay put for a while. Now make sure you're using the same color, right? So if I use the light, I want to use the light on the other side too. So I'm going to use dark. I almost always use dark. And I'm going to come down 1.5 inches. Oh, let's do 3/4 inch. Let's do 3/4 inch from the top. We'll make this one the high point. Now, when I scrapbook, I like to use liquid glue. It allows me to move things if I don't like it. It has a little bit more give. And what I do is I stick it in my pocket in between putting stuff on there, because then that way it's always facing down and the glue is right at the tip. So I came down 3/4 inch. This is your A. Okay. Now your B. This is the only one that matters, okay, for this pattern. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I get one of each of the 3-inch strips over here, and they are going to alternate between 3/4 inch down from the top and 1.5 inches down. So I'm just going to play with it and see how I like this done. I also have back sides of these papers, so don't forget to flip them over and see what the back sides are. See, I have a nice blue, which I could incorporate over here, and then this one won't stand out so badly, right? This is too close to this in my opinion, so I'm going to use the pine. I do really like the wood grain color, but I think this will tie the capri into here. Now it doesn't look Christmassy or wintry. It looks a little bit more warm, but it's not super wintry, right? Because we have this bright blue, and we have kind of a subdued blue over here. So I think I like this for the most part. I don't like the sage. And you just play with it. Now I could do this too. I could do dark, light, dark, light. Now I also have all those other strips, right? So let's say that you wanted to use all of these patterns. That's fine too, right? If I want that or a pattern instead, and then make the other layout more focused on something different, right? I think I'm going to keep it with the sage green though. I kind of like the dark light. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do, I mean, this is really pretty too though, right? I think that's pretty too. I have a hard time not using wood grain when I have it, but I think I'm going to use the glue. Okay, so get my glue out of my pocket. I do that so that it all stays at the bottom of my tip. The other thing is that this is a thicker applicator. I rarely use this because it kind of wrinkles the paper, I've noticed, so I rarely use it. Okay, maybe I'll use the wood grain on the other layout. Now I went 1.5 inches down. This one will be 3/4 inch down. Once you figure out your layout, like how you want it, how you want these patterns, then you can either snap a picture to remind yourself of how you want it, or you can snap several pictures and then filter through them and see which way you like it the best. my phone is in use, so I don't have that luxury at the moment. Okay, again, 3/4 of, or 1.5. Okay, now the other one you're going to do opposite, right? Which is always one of my downfalls. I have a hard time with opposites. I always just want to do it the same. So, there's my mink. Make sure I get the dark side, which this is the light side, which I want to glue, right? This is E. Really, it doesn't matter except for the A and the E. Those are the only two that matter. Okay. Now we went 3/4 of an inch down, so I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch down. This way they line up. Okay, so for across pages they line up, and they will look consistent. Okay. The next one I did was the blue, the light blue, which is the back side of the wood grain. I'm going to come down 1.5 inches. Line this back up. This way it's consistent. Okay, if you'd rather, it's 1/2 inch from the bottom. That's just if you would rather. Okay, my next one is my pine stripes. You don't need a lot of glue on the back side of these, they'll stick. Okay, again, 3/4 of an inch down. I just eyeball it. If you're really stingy about it, use a T or a ruler to go across. I'm not that fussy. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. I'm mostly not. Now the other option is to dovetail these. You could always put a nice little dove in here, and it would give it a different look at the bottom of your photos. Now the reason why I chose to do 4x6 photos is because those are the fastest you can get printed. Okay. And I think I'm going to use light side because I used dark side here. So let's use light side. And there's going to be 2 per page. But you can use whatever photo mats you want. If you want 4x4s, that's great. If you want 3x3s, that's fine too. It's just kind of whatever you want. If you want them horizontal, fine. If you want one way and one the other way, that's good. And then it has a big, huge area for a title. Or really don't want to cover up the tops because that's kind of the feel of the layout, yeah. And what I might do is, because these are the same color, I might go around and distress them either in Capri so it stands up just a little bit more bold, or I'll use pine or something like that, or sage, something other than what I have. So you could do that, and you could do just a single over here, or I think maybe I'll do these 2 over here. This is probably, I like this idea. And these 2 being vertical over here. This way I have a choice when I go to do my photos. Yeah, so you're saying, you're looking at this going, you only have 4 photos for all of January? Like, do you just choose 1 per week? or how do you do that? No, I don't have just one photo. I use flip-flops, or I put pockets, my pocket pages in, which go really, really quickly. So if you're really into fast and speed, pockets are definitely the way to go. So, but I kind of like this where it starts there, and could always rearrange this so that it's opposite, yeah. But I kind of like it like that, like I had it the first time. I don't know. Maybe this is the way to do it. I'm going to do the opposite. It's all about playing, guys. Just find your photo placement by playing. And I kind of like that because it's very uniform all the way across. So I think I'm going to choose that. That way I have the option of doing several vertical and several horizontal with flip-flops, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my glue. And I put it in my pocket wrong, of course. But I think I am going to distress these edges. Let me find my Capri. Let's just try Capri first. If you're not an inker, don't worry. This is just an added little thing that I like to do. I like to distress things. There's my Capri. So what I do is I cut up a round sponge. I just so happen to have a brand new one. And I cut it up and I put a little tab of Capri on it and I say Capri. And now I know I have Capri and I have a little holder. Yeah, it's not really. It makes it a little bit different. Yeah. Okay. You don't have to do much. You don't have to do a whole lot to make it have an effect. Yeah, so show you the effect up close. This is the light side, this is the dark side. This is kind of how it's going to look on the layout with the contrast. It's just a darker line. That's all it is. The other alternative is angling it ever so slightly and just dragging it across your ink. Gives it a nice fine line. And that's faster. I don't think it does it as well though. I don't like the look as well. And if you don't like the white core, this is one way of getting rid of the color of the white core. White core is fun though because you can, it's the other option, you can tear it, and then you have white core showing, which is always kind of a neat effect. So let's finish this up. I dilly-dallied on my layout. Kind of where I was placed, the placement of everything is what I dilly-dallied on. Okay, so there, now they're all distressed. They're all distressed on the proper sides. Okay, so they're all on the light side. I'm going to move that so that can. Okay, let's go back to the first layout, the left side. Now, I do need to get another Versamat. I do like these Versamats because they have the numbers on the outside. Let's just lay this out and see, kind of something a ½ inch from the edges. I think that looks good. It'll give it about a ½ inch from each other. And you can actually measure it out if you really, really want and fussy about it. But if you're like me, My kids usually wake up very shortly, and they always wake up at the wrong times, don't they? That's why I was late. I woke up and needed some help, so had to go get her all situated again. But that's the problem about life in general, is things happen when we don't expect them to. And so if we can get this done pretty quickly, then hopefully we have some layouts ready to go. Now, all of my family ones I do monthly. So January, February, March, April, May, etc. They're all monthly based. My kids' scrapbooks are different. My kids' scrapbooks are themed. So they have friends, and they have animals, sports, school, family. So we have a huge family, and we're always doing stuff, it seems like. Let's get this roughly. I just had to see where roughly I put that other one. And I put it about 1.5 inches from the bottom. Is where I'm lining things up. Just so you guys know. So I have a stamp set. You can also use Cricut, but I have the Melissa Esplin months. And so I'll put the month up here with some embellishments, but let's just put a couple embellishments on there. So I like these fast embellishments, right? Because they're fast. Dots are always good, gems are always good, sequins are always good. They're all pretty quickly applied. I have tons of sequins. And stars. I have little stars in there. I also have silver stars. Those are easy peasy. There's my silver confetti. Just making sure that I have what I want out. I think I'm going to use buttons. So cute. And they're stitched. I don't think I've used them. So we're going to use buttons. So I'm just going to put a few buttons on here. I know my title is going to be up here, and I know my journaling is probably going to be here. So I'm going to just kind of put some buttons around these photos. Quickly, these are all laser done. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that you don't come into the 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch in. These are 1/4 inch bigger than your photos, but you're only going to see 1/8 of an inch. So make sure you stay with your adhesive outside of that realm. And maybe we just do a combination of these in sequence, yeah? Maybe some of these blue sequins. A smaller button than that. Glue dots are the way to do these, or foam dots. If you layer them up, you're just remember your scrapbook's gonna be really big if you layer. So, maybe we'll put one down in the corner, and we'll do like a triangle effect, because I'm going to put some up in these regions with the title. So let's do a bigger one down here. I do have 3D foam dots, but I don't know if I really want to use them with the wood. These are really thick. trying to find just my dots, but I'm not finding them. So, glue it is. The good thing about dots and the adhesive glue dots and such is you know exactly where your glue is going to be, right? You don't have to guess. 'Cause if you put the glue on to the mat or the sticky part on the mat, then you can't slide the photo underneath. Right now I just have a dot down here, and now I can still slide that photo ever so slightly down. I'm going to put this one down here. I put my glue down wrong. And then let's get some sequins. And we'll do, I also do pearls. Or stickles are always fun. I'm going to make it crawl up the page just a little bit. Okay, the other cool tool that I love is this guy right here. And you sharpen it just like a pencil. It's a pickup tool. And I'm just going to put my porcelain out. And this way I can choose which ones I want. Like I want some white and some blues. I want some little ones. And I want some big ones. Let's do a big blue on here. And let's do a little tiny guy up here again. So, there so far. This is a sequin. It's not just a white glue dot. We can always add just one more element down here, which I might do. It just looks kind of off balance a little bit. So let's get one more glue dot on there. Should we have one more smaller button? I just don't see a smaller button in here. Kind of hoping for a teeny tiny one, but that did not happen. So let's put a teeny tiny sequin down there. Okay. I think that's better. It's a little bit, there's even number of buttons and even number of sequins, but together I think they balance it out just a little bit more. Okay. So there's that one. Now I am going to put some up in here after I do my titling. So let's do the other. Maybe we'll do this center area, and we'll do just a couple, like maybe a medium and a small button. Okay, so we'll do medium and a small. I kind of like this stitched. Do it kind of like that. I may have to come back in and get these more pinned with glue dots once I find my glue dots. But for right now, I think it'll be just fine. I'm going to do 3 sequins, and they're going to be in a triangle. Triangles are good. You like triangles, they're visually appealing. You draw your eye across things. They're very stable looking, and they're symmetrical for the most part, right? Symmetry is good when you're doing scrapbooking. You can have asymmetry too, but for the most part, I think things are symmetrical. Okay, so there it is. Here's our other little cluster. Super simple, fun. Get a title on there really fast once I stamp it. And I'll put some more buttons on, and then we'll have the cluster. I'll probably put the cluster in here. so it's more central. And then you have a triangle of your clusters. Okay, so thanks for joining me. Hopefully this gave you an idea of how to do this really quickly. And now you have 2 layouts cut, ready to be assembled, and my pictures are easily printable now. I can just order them and be done. Okay, you guys have a great one. Thank you for joining me on my first class, and we'll see you next month for the next one. Bye-bye.